Hello again. Welcome to another episode of Leading from Alignment with our good friend John Opalewski. How are you today, John?
Hey, Jim, I'm doing well. Fall cool air is in place.
Sweatshirts. Yeah, I love it.
It's a little chilly
I actually had the
today.
heater on in my office today. I came in and to save money, we try to kill each other with hypothermia, and then we all turn on space heaters, which probably costs a lot more money. But that's for a different podcast. That's a different subject for a different time. I am looking forward to today though, because I think everybody that's been in ministry for longer than a year or two or a decade or two is going to experience some of the things you're talking about today. And I
Mm.
just love that again from your perspective of years and so many relationships with so many leaders that you're bringing us the word today. So what are we talking about today, John? Introduce us to the topic.
Yeah, the topic is when ministry loses its joy and wonder.
Yeah.
I want to talk about it because I'm seeing this and feeling this in a lot of ministry leaders right now. There's this loss of joy in their work. I heard. And I think what precipitated this for me, really, it didn't precipitate it, it crystallized it for me, was I heard a talk several weeks ago on the subject of joy. And I
Hmm.
haven't heard a teaching on joy in a while. And it
Yeah.
just grabbed me. And I was convicted by
Yeah.
it. I was challenged by it.
Mm.
And it's one of those messages that, I've just been thinking about ever since I heard it. And I wanted to bring it to our audience today
Right
because
on.
I think it might be meaningful. I hope it will be helpful to you today. I think for most of us, I would say 99% of the pastors and leaders that we interact with, and even those on our team, ministry started with passion. It
Yeah.
was this adventure. We felt called, we felt energized. I mean, grateful that God would use us in
Yeah.
His work. But somewhere along the way, something changed, and I don't think it changed abruptly. It changed a little bit over a long period of time. And
Yeah.
for some leaders, ministry has become maintenance. It's their vision is turned into management, and I'm not
Yeah.
an anti-management. I'm not even anti-maintenance. It's
Yeah.
um, but the work that once felt sacred now feels like a grind.
Right.
And here's what the grind feels like to me. Sometimes the meetings just keep coming. The
Hmm.
inbox absolutely never empties. And even the things that used to bring us joy in life, preaching or leading a team, seeing people grow, even those can feel like just check boxes for us.
Yeah.
And so, Jim, just initial thoughts on this idea, this subject. I'm
Yeah.
curious
I,
what you think.
I think all things new and impossible create adrenaline. And
Yeah,
I mean, some people really enjoy weeding a garden. I think most people would rather harvest a garden or plant a garden. But between the day of planting and the day of harvesting, there's months of watering and weeding. And
yeah,
I think that's relationships. I think that's sports teams. I think that's I remember like Christmas when I was a kid, it was magic. It was
yeah.
just magic. And then you're a teenager and you realize some things about what's actually happening behind the scenes, and it's maintenance. And it wasn't magic anymore. It actually wasn't magic again until I had children of my own.
Yeah.
And that season started over again. Now I'm a grandparent. Every day is magic today with grandkids. But I think it's true. I think I'm not sure we're ever supposed to be fully satisfied long term with anything on earth when our hearts belong in heaven. But I think those moments of terror and risk and faith and adventure are pretty intoxicating, but not overly long lasting in general.
That's right. And so when I hear certain phrases, when I hear myself saying these
Yeah.
phrases and when I hear them from other leaders, I think ministry is starting to lose its joy and wonder.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
hear things like this. I hear myself saying things like this in leaders. I miss the days when I actually loved what I do.
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah.
I've heard that from pastors and leaders with ministries that have grown significantly
Yeah.
over a period of time. Somebody said this, it all feels heavy. Even the winds feel heavy.
Mhm.
There's celebration is difficult because, and I think how that plays out, Jim, is yeah, we just got this big win. Now we have to execute. Now
Yeah.
we have to fulfill uh, the promise, the that that win brought to us. Now there's a lot of work that's coming with it. I
Yeah.
heard one pastor say this. Sometimes I wish I could just pastor a small church again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's the
And
one I relate to probably the most.
yeah, I was going to ask if
I
you
wish I
if
could
you
go back
related
to
to that.
knowing people's names and stories and drinking lemonade on the front porch and being young enough not to put on weight because I drank lemonade on the front porch and ate the cookies. And yeah, I think that's probably the most common one for the people that I know is
Yeah,
it used to be simpler, and the
right.
weight, the complexity, the expectation, the competition between one week and the next, or one Christmas Eve and the next Christmas Eve. If your tanks aren't full, ministry is a lousy job unless your tanks are full and God is leading you. And if there's that dynamic, then it's no harder than building a tree fort with your dad. If all of ministry is a father-son project or daddy-daughter dance, it's
Yeah,
magical, it's wonderful. But the reality is, you know, it's not all building tree forts.
that's right. And Pastor, if you find yourself feeling these things, I don't think you're feeling that because you've lost your faith
No.
or even your sense of calling. It could be that you've been carrying too much for too
Mhm.
long without a break, without tending to yourself. I've come to this conclusion, Jim, that the larger a ministry grows, the bigger a pastor needs to get on the inside.
Yeah.
The stronger a pastor needs, maybe that's a better way to say it. The stronger a pastor needs to get on the inside when your ministry growth outpaces your personal growth, your internal growth, you're setting yourself up for
Yeah.
a loss of joy
Yes. Yeah.
and wonder.
True.
And so I think what's underneath it, I always like to look at root cause
Yeah.
and the loss of joy. Sometimes it's unprocessed grief, right?
Mhm.
There's pastors carry this unusual weight of people who leave
Sure.
because the ministry is so personal, right? And
Yeah.
we build relationships and we build friendships. And when those are interrupted, typically by not by the pastor, but by the other individual, it's it's a great loss. And some pastors struggle with grief. They just move on, soldier on,
Yeah.
without ever taking time to grieve what has been lost. So I think some of that chips away at our joy. I think dreams that we had that didn't happen
Sure.
can chip away. Great plans that we devised under what we believed was the leadership of the Holy Spirit that didn't come together. And I think over time, what happens, Jim, is those disappointments just pile up. And without space to grieve, we can harden, our hearts can get hardened
Yeah.
and we can become cynical or just plain numb.
Yeah.
Uh, I think so. I think grief is underneath it. I think a lack of celebration is underneath this
Yeah.
loss of joy, Jim. I think a lot of ministry leaders are great at pushing toward the next thing,
Yeah.
but not so great at pausing to savor the good things that God has already
Right.
done.
Right.
And I think when we stop celebrating, our hearts start to lose their capacity for wonder. I
Yeah.
can't prove that,
Yeah.
but I just think that's true. I think it's observable.
I think that what you're talking about, what I was hearing you say is basically because of the pain of it, a callusis basically has to form as a survival
Right.
response. But a callusis doesn't just keep out pain, it keeps out all sensation. It's dead
That's right.
skin. It's what happens after something has gone too far and a blister forms and pops and those sorts of things. So I'm hearing what you're saying. Could you go back to one thought though for me, John, and
Sure.
grieving loss. Could you tell me a little bit more? What does that look like for a pastor? Because
Sure.
I want to keep, I want to, why so downcast, oh my soul, put your hope in God. That's kind of a, I think, a knee-jerk reaction of like, pick
Mhm.
yourself up, let's go the harvest fields, dust your feet off. I think it's not an unbiblical way to look at it. But again, I think that works under certain circumstances and maybe causing more of a problem long term
Sure.
if we don't grieve. So what would grieving the loss of friendship,
Mhm.
families, how would a pastor go about doing that in your mind?
Sure. So I'm not an expert in grief. I want
Yeah.
to just put that out there. But the way that I process that, and again, I might be processing it at a very low level, not a
Hmm.
high level, is uh, naming naming the loss.
Hmm.
And it sounds kind of simple, right? But it's like
Yeah.
Lord, I just lost a dear friend of mine,
Hmm.
and it hurts. I'm in pain. I don't understand it. I know that you don't waste anything. At some time down the road, this is going
Yeah.
to turn into something good, but right now it
Right.
absolutely stinks.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
don't get it, and I'm upset
Yeah.
about it. I just don't understand, Lord. I know you're good. I know you love me. I know you care about me, but this makes no sense to me right now.
Yeah.
So some version of that,
Right.
where I give myself space to grieve. This works, Jim, even when you're being detached from good things.
Hmm.
Because the older I get, the less I say yes to. And that sounds
Hmm.
like, wow, that's great. It's hard
Yeah.
because some of the things I say no to now involve people that we've done work together with for a long time.
Yeah.
And I love them and I care about them. And because we're shifting gears to some degree and we're focusing on less things, some of those things have to go. And there is this grief of, here's part of the grief for me is I love hanging out with these people.
Right. Right.
And I'm not going to get to hang out with them as
Yeah.
much as I used to. So I think it's just naming it, going
Okay.
Psalms on it, man. Find some of the Psalms that really are like these laments to the
Yeah.
Lord and give yourself some space for that. So
Okay.
I don't know if that's a helpful thought or not, Jim, but
Yeah. Well,
that's my rookie attempt to,
I think somebody saying, grieve it. Like, okay, what does that, mean? It's like saying forgive. Well, what does that mean? I think there's a country Western translation for the word love, and there's a Greek translation for the word love, and there's
yeah,
so grief. So basically giving yourself permission to feel something, but in the presence of God, right? We don't wander off away from God to grieve.
that's right.
We grieve in his presence, even if it involves some complaints to him
Mhm.
about our circumstances and probably that final encouragement too, right? That where a lot of David's psalms are very dark, but they always resolve somehow into. But I made a
Yeah,
decision to trust you regardless of the way I feel right now, and
sure.
I think for me that's what grief is a moment. It's not a month. It's not even a day. It's a moment of deep, often weeping
Yeah,
embrace of pain, but in the presence of God. And then I get back to work. Because
yeah,
I am more encouraged about the next 10 families that walk through the door that I'm trying to reach for Jesus
that's right.
than the last two families that left. I just have to be as a mental tactic to stay,
Right.
in touch with what I'm doing here.
And that grief may bubble up again. Uh,
Sure.
and you go through a similar process.
Yeah.
God can handle our complaints. He's got big shoulders.
Yeah.
God can handle when we don't see the thing resolve. Like I think the darkest psalm in all of the Psalms is Psalm 88. And this is a dude who is definitely depressed.
Yeah.
And he ends it. The last line in Psalm 88 is the darkness is my closest friend.
Oh,
That one doesn't resolve.
yeah. Hello,
And
darkness, my old friend. Is this Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young song? Yeah.
but
Wow.
here's the deal. I think I agree with you that most of the Psalms that are the ones that are Psalms of grief or
Yeah.
lament or complaint resolve
Yeah.
within that Psalm,
Yeah.
but that one doesn't resolve. And
Yeah.
here's the truth that sometimes you won't get resolution quickly.
Yeah.
And you may be in a state. Now, I'll say this at the same time. That doesn't mean you can't work. That doesn't mean that you can't.
Right.
It's possible to feel two emotions at the same time,
Yeah.
or so
Yeah.
grief and joy
Yes.
can
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
So it's not an invitation to be in mourning 24/7 for the rest of
Right.
your life. That's
Right.
not what we're saying
That's
here.
depression. That's something we should be a lot more
That
concerned about. Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
But here's what I think. If you're listening today and you're saying, "Look, I have lost my joy," it doesn't make you a bad leader. It makes you a human leader.
There you go. Right. Permission. Yeah.
But it does mean something important that you should pay attention to. It's time to take a check on your soul,
Yeah.
because I don't think joy is a luxury
Mm,
for leaders. I think it's a
right.
sign of spiritual vibrance
Hmm.
and vitality. And when joy fades in our life, it's a signal that something deeper needs our attention, something
That's
deeper
good,
needs our
John.
care.
That's good. Yeah. It's a warning. It's a yellow light on your
I think
dashboard.
so.
Yeah.
I think so. So I think if I'm crabby all the time
Yeah.
and I'm not joyful on most of the time, something's going on that needs attention in
Yeah.
my world.
Yeah. I agree. That's good.
Yeah. So let's talk about a path forward, if that's okay with you, Jim.
Yeah.
If we
Yeah.
find ourselves joyless or not joyful much, how do we rekindle that? We could spend a lot of podcasts on this next few minutes
Yeah.
here, but we're just going to share five things real quick. I
Okay.
think first thing is reconnect with your calling.
That's good.
I would encourage you to travel back to that time when God first stirred your heart for ministry and remember what that felt like to
Right.
say yes.
Yeah.
I think sometimes joy begins with remembering.
Yeah.
Um, Secondly, practice gratitude. I would
Mm,
encourage you, if you're listening or watching today, to take 5 minutes every day to name what's good in your life,
it's good.
what's beautiful, what's worth
Yeah.
celebrating. I think gratitude and celebration softens our heart,
I do too.
and it makes space for joy to return
Yeah.
to
Can I
us.
say I think gratitude contradicts the narrative that everything's wrong, that
Yes.
nothing's working, that in spite of my best efforts or whatever the other thing is being believed,
Hmm.
it breaks that which Jesus cannot say amen to and restores your mind to a place that Jesus will say amen to, and the things we're grateful for. Yeah.
Sure. Here's a third thought about rekindling joy, and that's making room in your life for delight. And here's what
Yeah.
I mean by that. Find something that's life-giving to you
Mm,
outside of your calling,
yeah. Right.
outside of your ministry. It could be music, it could be art, it could be family, it could be laughter. Um, it's interesting as I've aged, the things that bring me joy outside of work have morphed over
Okay.
time. I never used to be much interested in art, but for some reason now,
Mm,
art just seems to
yeah. Speaking
speak
to
to
you.
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
it really does. And so you're not just a leader. You're a person who was created by God to experience joy.
Right.
It's one of the fruit of the spirit, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so I need a healthy distraction
Yeah.
that brings joy into our life.
Right.
Here's another one, Jim. Hang out with joyful people. I,
Yeah.
I, I find that joy is contagious.
Yes.
It,
Yeah.
uh,
I agree. What a gift
And,
too to have a friend that's
oh man,
fun and, funny and
yes.
yeah,
You're
alive.
you're you're that you're that friend to me.
Oh, good.
You make me laugh. I've got several others who
Yeah.
I know for sure when we're together, there will
Yeah.
be laughter
Yeah.
and there will be joy. And so hang out with people who are joyful. Ministry gives you plenty of opportunity to hang out with people who are not joyful.
Right.
So
Yeah.
be intentional about that. And I think here's the fifth thing. I think we have to redefine in our own mind what joy is and what joy isn't.
Okay.
Joy isn't the same thing as happiness.
Okay.
I think we've all heard that in one version or another. Happiness depends on what's happening.
Right.
Joy runs a lot deeper than that.
Right.
It's this, Jim, it's this inner disposition that remains unmoved by outward circumstances.
Right.
In James, the gospel, not the gospel, the epistle of James, three of the most difficult verses for me to get my arms around as a Christian.
I know
He says
those.
this, consider it pure
Pure
joy,
joy.
my brothers and sisters, whenever you
Yeah.
face trials of many kinds, because you know the testing of your faith produces perseverance. And I just, I just, for many years thought, I can't get there.
Yeah.
How do I get there? Here's what I've landed on in the last 10 years of my life. That joy is this inner belief that because I belong to Jesus, no matter what happens, he will bring something beautiful, life-giving, and good out of it.
Right.
I've lived long enough now to know that the worst things that have happened to me in life, because by the grace of God, I cooperated with him
Right.
in recovering from those horrible things. He has brought something amazing out of the suffering, out of the
Right.
trial.
Yeah.
That's where the joy is. The joy
Right.
isn't for the trial. It's for what the trial will produce in
Yeah.
us
Right.
and in those in our relational sphere if we respond to the trial the right way.
Right.
I want to stop there. I really want to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah. I might have talked about this recently, but I read a book concerning purpose, which is a subject I'm interested in, by
Yes.
Viktor Frankl, who was Auschwitz and Birkenau survivor, Austrian. He had this whole theory about satisfaction and purpose in life and suffering, and then was arrested, put into a concentration camp, where his whole life's work was just thrown in a garbage can in front of him by a fellow Jew who was a capo
Mhm.
for the, you go left, you go right. Those that went right were never seen again. Those that went left went into slavery. And he said, "This is my life's work." And the man threw it in the trash in front of him and said, "You have no life. All your life is work now, until you
Mhm.
die." And he wrote something along the lines that I'll quote it poorly, but like life, in spite of suffering, life will always have joy if it has meaning. Like there's
Mhm.
no suffering that is greater, if we understand meaning, than our ability to suffer through it. And that was his thesis going into Auschwitz and
Right.
Birkenau. Came out the other side, and to his credit, which is shocking, so many people were just suicidal. They lost everything. They've lost everyone to the war. People come home to find they were the only survivor of their entire neighborhood, their entire family. And he never had a single patient commit suicide because he helped them find meaning and purpose. And really what you're talking about now is like there's there can be a joy if the Lord goes with you into the suffering. There can be a joy, but it has to be processed properly. It can't be.
Yeah.
You're not tougher than that. You're not tougher than losing everything and everyone. No one is.
Yeah.
But you can endure it if you can find other people to help through it. That God can redeem it. God can restore it. Let go of His
Yeah.
hand and you'll fall. But hold on to your hand and be
Yeah.
patient. Hold on to His hand
So
and be
the
patient.
so the joy there isn't necessarily even a feeling.
Mm-mm.
It's just this confidence
Yeah.
that somehow, some way, God, you're going to bring something good out of this
Yes.
that will be for the good of myself and those
Yes.
around me. And who knows, for people I might not even know yet,
Yeah.
that it will prove beneficial to them. You know, real joy doesn't deny. I'm pretty sure Viktor
Yeah.
Frankl didn't deny what he was going through,
No.
but it reframes
Yes.
what you're going through.
Yes.
It reframes our suffering as soil
Hmm.
where something sacred can grow.
It's good. That's really good, John. Yeah.
So Jim, the world doesn't need more burned out leaders trying to push through.
Yeah.
It needs joyful leaders who lead from overflow. So if you're lacking joy, it it might be you're just running too hard.
Yeah.
Um, you might like joy because you're not running hard enough.
Hmm.
You know, laziness will put you into this same mode.
Yeah.
Um, but most of the guys and gals that we work with don't have the lazy problem. They have the other one. And so, Pastor, here are our hearts today. If you've lost your joy and wonder, please don't settle for that as your new normal.
Yeah.
Uh, with God's grace, you can have joy again. And so I would just say this, and then Jim, I'll have you wrap us up. If this resonates with you today, if you're listening or watching, would you just share it with a leader who you think might need to hear it too?
Yeah.
And please hear us as always. We want you to lead well, but we want you to live well and
Right.
take care of your inner life so that whatever success, whatever fruit comes from your efforts doesn't crush you
Right.
in the process and doesn't steal your joy. So, Jim, that's what I've got.
Love it, John. Thank you. I love, it's funny, simple and deep are good friends. And I love that the depth of this is easy to understand. Take a nap, eat a sandwich,
Sure.
go back to where you first were anointed. It reminds me of the story of Elijah, right? With the prophets of Baal, and he's just burned out. He's exhausted. He's, everything that you'd think, and the angel wakes him up and says, "Eat a sandwich," and then he goes back to sleep again. Wakes him up, eat another sandwich, goes back to
That's
sleep
right.
again. And he says, "Go back." It was Horeb, right? Go back to where you first received your calling. So, did you know that everything you just said is
No,
actually
I no, I
goes
no. Well,
right
I
along
didn't know
with
that last part. I
yeah,
didn't know.
goes
No.
right along with the narrative in First Kings. I think it's chapter 19. So that it is a biblical framework that you've led us to today. And this was God's advice to someone who had pushed too hard for too long and seen great
Mm,
success, but was really at the end of his soul and lost his joy. This is not funny. The restoration of joy was in a sandwich, a nap, and revisiting the place where you first heard God's voice call you to be you. And I think that's brilliant. So thank you for that. And everybody that's listening right now, again, it's not an easy job, leadership in general, but pastoral ministry in an age of social media, political, ridiculousness,
yeah.
cultural wars. Don't get sucked into that. Just you remember who God made you to be. You owe Him that, and let everything else kind of work it out. If you need a minute, take a walk, shed a tear, but come back
Mm,
with peace in your heart, because again, that's that ground, that's that soil that God plants good things in. So joy as a disposition, as a default setting is yours through Christ. And we encourage you in that today. If we can help you in any way, like I'm trying, man, but I cannot find my give a darn. I lost it a
that's right.
long time ago. It might be more than what we're talking about today. So give us a call,
Yeah.
convergecoach.com. Let's talk about that. You don't have to do that alone. I know that well, I'll fix this. I'll get this right. But that's like me saying, I'll go to the gym once I'm in shape. It's not the best plan. Like you could use a coach right now. You could use a friend right now. And let's talk about that. So God bless you, our watchers and listeners. We're praying for you as you continue with joy to lead from alignment.